The Vancouver Canucks are getting hit by the injury bug once again. Just within the past 24 hours, we got guys like Brendan Gaunce, and we got Sam Gagner. Both they're taken out, they're injured, and because of this, the Vancouver Canucks are forced to bring up players from the farm team. Yesterday, they finally made a decision that fans seem to really like, and that is the signing of Darren Archibald and the immediate call-up of said player. Darren Archibald is one of those players who, back when the Canucks training camp and preseason games were going on, fans really liked the way he was playing. He was so intense to watch. Strong, gritty, hard on the puck. He's got a body that he uses to really make a physical presence in every scenario that he's in. He's 6'3", 209 pounds, so obviously he has a good edge on him in terms of size. And when he played in the preseason for the Vancouver Canucks, everyone was like, yeah, this guy needs to make the team, because he provides a good sense of grit. But he didn't make the team. And instead, we chose Derek Dorsett to be that kind of player. I remember the outlash. I remember everybody getting pissed off because why are we playing Dorsett in this role when Archibald had the much better showing in the preseason, and Archibald got sent down? He's 27 years old, he's playing in the AHL once again, and this guy's never going to have an NHL career now, isn't he? And everyone was pissed off because we chose Dorsett to be that gritty player over Archibald, who was having a fantastic preseason. So, we all know what happens with Derek Dorsett. He, unfortunately, is forced to retire, and the Vancouver Canucks are in a position where their only piece of grit and aggressiveness comes from guys like Jake Virtanen and Erik Goodbranson. Both players who, if you're watching the Canucks, know that they're not really living up to those expectations of being physical presences. So, now that Gagner was unfortunately sent away because he's injured, the Vancouver Canucks make a smart decision, and I saw everybody on Twitter saying that this was a fantastic move, because instead of being the Vancouver Canucks of the past and trading a second-round pick for a bottom-sixth depth guy who could provide a physical presence, we just took the one that we already had. We signed him. He wasn't on an NHL contract. We signed him, and we brought him up. Darren Archibald is now a Vancouver Canuck. And for the most part, I agree this is a great move, because what's there to lose from Darren Archibald coming up to Vancouver? Just disregarding the Comets for a little bit, there is no harm in bringing up a Darren Archibald kind of guy to play in the NHL. Maybe even for the rest of the season. Because Archibald last season, he got himself 47 points in 76 Utica Comets games, and this season, he's at 16 points in 25 games. He was injured for a bit, which is why his game count is so low. But playing on that top line, I believe he was playing with Cole Castles, because Cole Castles recently got promoted to that first line position. Archibald, Cole Castles, and Alexis Daoust, I believe. That was the top line in Utica for the span of time that Nikolai Goldobin, Chaput, and Reid Boucher were all with the Vancouver Canucks, and that line absolutely tore it up. And Archibald now is finally getting an opportunity to showcase what he can do at the NHL level. Previously, playing in the NHL, he played for the Canucks back in 2013-14. He had 3 points in 16 games played. But other than that, he spent time in the ECHL, he played 18 games down there, and he spent time with the AHL Utica Comets. He's played 356 AHL games, with a total of 151 points. He's kind of an AHL veteran at this point, and at 27 years of age, that isn't really surprising. The only other thing that I believe is really noteworthy, though, is the fact that this season, he only has 15 penalty minutes in 25 games. That could mean that he's becoming a little bit more disciplined, but his total AHL career, he's had 356 games played, 435 penalty minutes, so that says a lot about his character. He's the kind of guy who's not afraid to take penalties with the purpose of helping the team, and by that I mean being the gritty kind of player, gets in deep, physical presence and all that. So, Darren Archibald, he's signed, he's brought up, he's basically the guy that they brought in to replace Gagner, and now he's here. So, that's awesome, because I like having guys who, admittedly, he's not really that young, who are up-and-comers, showcase themselves at the NHL, and there isn't anything to lose. The Comets, there was a really good tweet by Corey Hergott talking about how even though Boucher and Archibald are gone from the Comets, once again, the Comets will still find a way to succeed because they're a good team. And by definition, they are a team. And they all work together to build towards certain goals, and it's awesome. Reid Boucher is another player who is finally back up in the NHL. He played 3 games with the Canucks this season before getting sent down, and 41 points for this kid in 38 AHL games with 22 goals, mind you. He was an AHL all-star, and for the most part, it was great. It's perfectly awesome for Reid Boucher. And if you look at the total AHL points right now, Boucher actually sits down there at 9th. He's tied for 9th in AHL total points with 41. If you go over to goals, Reid Boucher is all the way up there at 2nd. He's 1 behind Valentin Zykov in goals in all of the AHL. And in terms of goals per game, I believe he's probably 1st. I mean, looking at all these other guys, they all don't compare to Reid Boucher in terms of goals per game. So hopefully, Reid Boucher comes up back to the NHL, and he's able to make a really good impact and score at the pace that he was scoring at in the AHL, because 22 goals in 38 games, if you do the math and everything, multiply that out, that goes over to an 82-game pace of 47 goals. And of course, it's the AHL, it's not the NHL, things are a little bit different down there. It's just something incredible to look at, because last season in the AHL, Reid Boucher had 19 goals in 34 games playing for the Albany Devils, and he spent half of that season with the New Jersey Devils as well. If you want to look at everything else, Utica has benefited greatly from having Reid Boucher in their system, and the Canucks, they didn't play him, he was scratched, he was in the press box a lot, but he only played 3 full games with the Canucks. Now, he's got a chance, because Brendan Gaunce and Sam Gagner are both out, and we really need guys to step up. We have centers. We have Horvat, Henrik, Sutter, Granlund. But these wingers that we have, Gaunce and Gagner, these guys are out. So we're just asking for the best out of Boucher and Archibald. And these guys have had good AHL seasons this year. So hopefully the success is able to translate well onto NHL ice against NHL competitors, against players as strong as NHLers. And I don't know what's going to happen here, because the Canucks are playing the Lightning today, but Darren Archibald most likely will not be with the team until tomorrow. I'm not too sure about Reid Boucher. He might have a little bit of an easier time coming over here. I'm not too sure, but they're on the team, they're roster players, and they have contracts taken up by the team. It's just that Archibald, he's confirmed, he's coming tomorrow. I don't know about Boucher. So, worst case scenario, we see both of these players in the lineup tomorrow against the Carolina Hurricanes. The Canucks, they play the Lightning today. I don't know what's going to happen there with the Lions, but there's going to be no Gagner and no Gaunce. Unfortunately for Gaunce, he left practice with a boot, and that sucks. The guy, he played 7 minutes in the last game, so I don't really know how much he's going to be missing the game, but he was recently on a really good streak, and now he's out. He's injured alongside of Sam Gagner, who unfortunately had something happen to him at practice. I don't know. Maybe it was that segment in the Florida game where the guy landed on Gagner's exposed leg. I have no idea, but for the most part, all we know is they're both out, and Archibald and Boucher are up. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. One more thing I'd like to talk about here is Darren Archibald and his contract, because he's a UFA coming up, and I don't know what's going to happen to him. If he makes a really good impact with the Canucks in this stretch, I could see him coming back, and I could see him staying with the rest of the team for the remainder of the season, because if we brought him in to be gritty and a physical presence, then we need to keep him. Because Goodbranson, he's not that. Virtanen, he's not that. Dorsett, he's gone. Who else do we have? I don't want to trade a second-round pick for a bottom 6 guy who will be just another Derek Dorsett, but with less goals. I'm content with just remaining with the guys that we have and using those guys, bringing those guys into these roles. Because Twitter said it best. Instead of trading for a guy, we use the one that we already had. And I like that. And I'd not be opposed to leaving Archibald on the team if he's able to maintain a good presence and maybe get some production down too. Reid Boucher, he's had a good season in the AHL. I just really hope it translates to the NHL because this is his best AHL season in a while. And he's just really finding his stride. He was an AHL All-Star alongside of Thatcher Demko, and now he's back up with the Canucks. Hopefully he'll get playing time this time around, because last time he was scratched a lot. That's what I think about this, guys. You can comment down below what you think. Darren Archibald and Reid Boucher coming up to the team. Gagner, Gaunce, both out. Hope you guys enjoyed this video for Plus News, National Troll Slang, National Wrestling, and Gaming, and bye.